You have colon cancer. What is your journey like with colon cancer? How do you find out?
That's a good question. I don't think there was any, like, I was just like, my brain was just like, you have cancer. Like, what? Like, what does that mean? Like,
Mm,
how can that be possible? I'm 31 years old. Like, that was I was very much in shock. Like, it makes your intestine so sensitive. So whatever I ate, pretty much the body couldn't process that, so it shut
mhm.
it down instead.
Okay.
That's why, like, for example, I fast for 4 days during 3, 4 days during chemo,
Mm-hmm.
and when I go off it, you've got to go slowly, like liquids,
Mm-hmm.
light stuff.
Yeah.
So it's all like a learning experience, and if you approach it like that, like at the end of each chemo, okay, what did I not like about that chemo? How can I make it easier for my next one?
Why are you so passionate to spread your awareness?
I'm so passionate to spread my awareness because when I went into my emergency operation for where they found the tumor, from that day on, the things I've experienced, I had no idea about a lot of it, and I just really, I guess, cancer is on the rise in our community. So I really want to show people that it's not all doom and gloom. And I want to show people that it's actually, people have this, for example, colonoscopies, they're quite scared of them and they think they're bad. But if I could go back 4 years and get a colonoscopy to stop where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
and I would do anything, but I'd never even heard of it. So that's why I want to spread awareness, because there's so many simple ways we can detect cancer before it's too far gone.
Have you ever had a life-threatening illnesses and you do not know where to turn or what life will throw at you? Well, tonight we will be speaking with one of my guests, with stage 4 colon cancer, and she'll be sharing with us her journey. When I asked her about the interview, she had no hesitation. Actually, she was excited to give this interview, not because I have millions of subscribers, but because of her passion to help spread cancer awareness. And according to the WHO, in 2020, more than 1.9 million people were diagnosed with colon cancer. And now Monique find herself into that statistics, and she will be sharing her story with us. So stay tuned, and you could hear or know a lot about colon cancer if you have not yet known what it is. Um, Before I give my guests the platform, there's a few things I would like from you guys. To support my channel, it goes a far way. Please just subscribe to this channel if you like what I am doing and you want my channel to grow. And leave a comment in the comment section and tell us how do you find this interview with my guests. Welcome to the Ivy Cancer Podcast, where we discuss cancer, health, lifestyle, and healing. And today it is no different. Mon, welcome to this Ivy Cancer Podcast. Thank you for, taking the time out to share your story with us. Um, Normally, I like to give my channel a blessings. I like to pray before I go into my podcast. I give the honors to my guests. If not, then I will go ahead and pray. Would you like to pray for us?
You can go for it.
Okay, all right, no problem. Well, my most righteous and eternal Father, I just want to give you thanks for your blessings. And as we are about to partake into an interview with Monique, we ask that you may give us some form of insightful message and inspire someone. I give you thanks for her to taking the time out to share her journey with us. I pray that you may grant her unto her healing mercies in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
How are you doing, Mon?
I'm doing really good, thank you. I have chemotherapy tomorrow, though, so I'm just enjoying the healthy day before tomorrow starts.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Um, who are you and why are you so passionate to spread your awareness?
I'm so passionate to spread my awareness because when I went into my emergency operation for where they found the tumor, from that day on, the things I've experienced, I had no idea about a lot of it. And I just really, I guess cancer is on the rise in our community. So I really want to show people that it's not all doom and gloom. And I want to show people that it's actually, people have this, for example, colonoscopies. They're quite scared of them and they think they're bad. But if I could go back 4 years and get a colonoscopy to stop where I'm at,
Mm-hmm.
and I would do anything, but I'd never even heard of it. So that's why I want to spread awareness because there's so many simple ways we can detect cancer before it's too far gone.
Okay. I appreciate that. Give us a little insight about money. Like, what was your childhood like growing up?
Well, so I'm Australian, if you can't tell by the accent. There's a little bit of English because I lived in London for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
But my childhood was nice. It was surrounded by beaches, my family. We lived in Australia near the coast. And funnily enough, during when I was a child, I was really good at piano.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so I had some hobbies and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my childhood.
Okay. That's nice. Piano is something that I never seen myself would take up, but I think I like the mechanism of it. It looks really cool, to see how people navigate the keys and stuff like that, knowing what letters and that stuff. So very interesting hobby. Um you have colon cancer. What is your journey like with colon cancer? How do you find out?
So I was diagnosed 14 months ago with colon cancer. 6 months before I was admitted into hospital, I started to have a sharp pain.
Hmm.
I don't even think that was the question you asked me,
No,
but
just give us your journey. So yeah,
oh, yeah,
because
so the journey's not like the journey has been long and stuff.
mm-hmm,
But in I don't know, my thought process in this whole thing is not normal.
mm-hmm,
I don't think the journey has been that bad. I think we are so lucky that we have this medical system at our hands, being
mm-hmm,
in the UK and Europe having free healthcare. My journey has been very full on, I would say as well. I've had
okay.
two surgeries, two procedures, 11 chemotherapies, five immunotherapies. So there's been a lot, but I've
Oh.
learned a lot. So I think that's why the journey is not as stressful for me because I'm
Mm-hmm.
enjoying the learning process, as weird as that sounds.
Trust me, I think you're taking the right step in fighting this cancer because stress is the last thing you would need right now
Yeah.
on yourself because you would just only feed in your cancer. But you were telling us about your symptoms, I assume.
Yeah.
So how do you find out that you have colon cancer? Take us
Well,
through
so
that.
I had a pain in my side 6 months before I went into a hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and I had it on four occurrences. The first time was a couple of days, and then a few months later it was a couple of days again. And then on the third time, I finally went to the hospital, to the doctors, and we did blood work and what else? We did blood work, and it came back perfect. So my general doctor said, "Oh, maybe it's just IBS."
Mm-hmm.
Which is unfortunate. This is the problem with your general doctor. They're just going to say whatever.
Yeah.
They're not going to do the thorough check.
Yeah.
And I also went to the gynecologist just to be safe because,
Mm-hmm.
it's always good just to do those checks anyway. And then come January, the pain was really bad. And I went to walk my dog and I couldn't even get down the stairs of my apartment.
Mm.
And my stomach looked like I was pregnant because my intestines were so inflamed and no
Right.
food would go down them.
Right.
And so my friend, I was laying in my bed and my friend called me. And she goes, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just laying in my bed. It's 4 p.m. I have a pain." And she goes, "I'm taking you to the hospital. I'm so sick of listening to this pain."
Mm-hmm.
They did a X-ray which showed a mass, and then the CT scan confirmed that it was a big tumor.
Mm.
And I went straight into surgery about 4 hours after I was admitted into hospital. So it was a good turnaround in hindsight.
What was the size of the tumor at that time?
It was 4 centimeters wide and it was blocking 90% of my colon. So if you look at the circumference of your colon,
Mm-hmm.
only like nothing could get down it because it expanded so much.
Mm-hmm.
And along with the 4 centimeter tumor, they took out 25 lymph nodes and 17 had cancer in them.
25.
And
Whoa.
17 had cancer, which is not good. Should not be
Oh.
laughing, but
Whoa. 25.
yeah,
Whoa.
because my understanding is for every bad lymph node you take out,
Mm-hmm.
you have to take out like six in the area.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's how they took out so many because there were so many bad ones. But there was, after the surgery, there was one more remaining in my para-aortic area, which is
Mm-hmm.
right in the middle of you. And it's where your big aorta vein is, the vein coming down your body. And
Mm-hmm.
so there was one on there. But that's like another operation because it's quite detailed because
Mm-hmm.
it's on the aorta vein.
Mm-hmm.
So that was remaining. And then by the time we got to the next step operation, it'd gone into three of them.
Right.
But when we did remove those three, all the margins were very, very clean. It
Mm-hmm.
was only in those three that was shown on the scan. So yeah.
So, so when they told you that 17 had cancers, it was cancerous, when they told you that you had cancer, what was the thought that was running through your head?
That's a good question. I don't think there was any, like, I was just like, my brain was just like, you have cancer. Like, what? Like, what does that mean? Like,
Mm.
how can that be possible? I'm 31 years old. Like, that was I was very much in shock. My mum was also here looking, so I live in Croatia now, and my mum was
Mm-hmm.
here from Australia. So I think in part, like I just remained calm because
Mm-hmm.
you around the family members and your friends, you don't want to want them to see you stressed.
Right.
So yeah, I was just in a bit of shock, I think.
Well, I'm going to go back a few years in your life growing up. If someone was supposed to say to you, Mon, I am a fortune teller, I can read the future. You're going to get cancer at this age. What would you have said to them at that time if they were supposed to say that to you?
I would say maybe I need to change my lifestyle a little bit.
Mm.
Maybe I need to stop living in a way where we're untouchable.
Mm-hmm.
Just in the sense of like, I was never one of those people to be sick to go to the doctors ever. But I don't think it comes down to that. I think it does come down to the environment and food.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess I would do maybe live my life a little bit healthier if I knew. I'm
Right.
not an unhealthy person, but there's always things you can improve on. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely. What was your thought about cancer before you got cancer?
No, no thought whatsoever. Literally no
You
thought.
just heard about cancer and you just go through one years, come to the next. You're just living your life.
Because I've never had anyone close to me of a young age to die of cancer. Like
Mm-hmm.
most of the people that I've known have always been like old people sometimes get cancer at the end of their life.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that happen, but never someone my age. So it's like anything. Like if it's not relevant to you, sometimes you're not thinking about it. And
Yeah.
when it's not relevant and it's a bad thing, of course
Yeah.
you're not thinking about it.
Yeah. Same thing with me. I never paid cancer any mind before my mom. It was after my mom I started looking to researches, start finding out this, start finding out that. You know, with your colon symptoms, was your poo any form of your, did you see any changes in your bowel movements?
No, not at all. The only problem I had was that pain in the side.
Just a pain in the side.
But if I'm being honest, so colon cancer is considered a slow growing cancer that takes 5 to 10 years to present itself.
Mm-hmm.
And so, in my opinion, I've probably had this for a while, and part of part of me thinks I used to have really bad bloating all the time, and
Mm-hmm.
part of me thinks that was the tumor
Mm-hmm.
5 years ago.
Um, Based on my research, that what I've done some interview with some doctors as well, and they said what you said, I don't think it's only colon. I just think it's cancer generally.
Mm.
They said that for you to find out that you have cancer, it had already started 10 years ago. You
Yeah,
know, so when you saw or when you experiencing symptoms, you actually had the tumors growing inside of you prior, you
yeah.
know. So yeah, that is one of the sad part about cancer. And as you said, if you know about colonoscopy, I can't call the name properly, sorry,
Colonoscopy is it.
colonoscopy, yeah. If you knew about it before, you would have probably done a few to check if you are okay. But
100%. I would have,
unfortunately, you didn't because you never
yeah.
knew about it. So
And,
you would carry
sorry,
on. No, carry on.
you go.
Carry on.
I'm just cutting into you every
No,
five
no, no, no,
seconds.
no. Carry on. It's your story. It's your story.
Well, I was just going to say, like, so many friends since I've been diagnosed have gone and
Hmm.
got colonoscopies.
Hmm.
And honestly, if it was reversed, where one of my friends was sitting here now telling this story, I would be going to get a colonoscopy.
Mm.
But it's really only like cancer in the younger people has always been around, but in the last, I'd say, year or so, it's really
Hmm.
become the forefront of
Yeah, cancer is
everyone's
high.
mind.
Yeah, and there's so much different types of cancer.
Oh, it's
It's
never ending.
never ending, never
And there's
ending.
different variations and different mutations. And this
Yeah.
is the thing, my brain, my head might explode one day from how much information I've researched on all of this stuff.
Yeah, because how you sound like you're not a cancer patient to me. You sound like you're a doctor. Because
Yeah, no, I mean, someone once commented on my TikTok, do you think you're a doctor?
yeah, because you research so much into it, and you know, and that's good. Because even though you have the cancer, it is impacting you in a positive way because you're using it to spread awareness, and you can go in depths of these
Yeah,
things.
exactly.
Yeah. So you mentioned about chemo. Obviously you start chemo. Like, what was your first chemo session like for you?
I'm so weird that on my first chemo session, I took my laptop to the hospital and worked through the 2 days of it.
Mm.
It was not that bad the first chemo. It was the second and third chemo that really did the damage. After the second chemo, my intestines shut,
Mm.
and I was admitted into hospital. And they gave me a drip, but it didn't really help. And I had to wait 5 days for my intestines to open up again. And I pretty much was taking THC. Though I don't know if you're allowed to say this in your podcast.
Yeah, no, 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 it's fine.
So I was taking THC through the whole 5 days, and that was the only way I got through it.
Mm.
But
Um,
I
but THC is should be a medical, isn't it? So
Oh, 110%. But
yeah.
I follow a lot of posts, and some people say how they've got hallucinations on THC. So I think it's a personal thing as well.
I think so
Um,
because I've interviewed this lady. She have a symptoms called cauda equina, a nerve spinal injury. And that she stocked up on it. That's what helped her with her pain and stuff as well.
Oh, it helps so much. And the biggest thing it helps with, besides the pain, is it puts your mind to sleep at nighttime
Mm.
instead of you staying up till 2 a.m.
Make
thinking
you
about your
relax.
illness. And so it's it really, obviously, during the day, you can keep yourself busy and
Mhm.
researching and stuff. But at nighttime, when you go to bed, that's when the real thoughts start to
Yeah, start.
appear.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, actually,
was that a part of your reaction to the chemo? Do you think
which one?
you shut your system? You
Oh yes, because when they pour the chemotherapy on you, like it makes your intestine so sensitive. So
Mm.
whatever I ate, pretty much the body couldn't process that, so it shut it
Mm-hmm.
down instead.
Okay.
That's why, like, for example, I fast for 4 days during 3, 4 days during chemo,
Mm-hmm.
and when I go off it, you've got to go slowly, like liquids,
Mm-hmm.
lighter stuff.
Yeah.
So it's all like a learning experience, and if you approach it like that, like at the end of each chemo, okay, what did I not like about that chemo? How can I make it easier for my next one? Can I change something? And as soon as you start to have that perspective, it
Mm-hmm.
really makes life easier, and it has made chemo easier.
Um, Dr. Seyfried, this cancer professor, he said when you do fasting, intermittent fasting, what that does is it starve the cancer cell as well. So
Yeah,
it kills because your body have so much cells that repair itself on a daily basis. So when you starve your cell, um s- yourself, it create new cells and repair the damaged ones, and so it helps lower the growth of cancer. So
yeah,
while it is helping you with your chemo, it also slowing your growth, and it helps the your chemotherapy more to adapt or to work on the chemo on your cancer
yeah,
tumors.
definitely. And,
Yeah,
and it also helps the cells go into is it called ketosis? Like it protects
ketosis.
the cells,
Yeah.
and protects, yeah. So it protects the good cells from the chemo, and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much when you take the chemo, the cancer cells are the most hungry, so they will eat the chemotherapy first.
Definitely.
And it definitely helps with symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
The most symptom, it's fasting during chemo is not easy, but it is worth it.
It
Like
worth
you
it.
really have to, like, it plays on your head like you want to eat food because you're
Right.
starving and you're hungry, but it's
Mm-hmm.
so worth it because, like, the last one I fasted very well,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't even have any downtime after. As soon as they disconnected me, I was fine.
Okay.
Where normally
Okay.
the after they disconnect me for the first day after, it's really hard to like rebuild strength. But this
Mm-hmm.
time it wasn't so bad. So hopefully that happens again.
Uh, keep practicing it. It will help. Trust me. So
Definitely.
what other symptoms, side effects that you have from the chemo?
So on the first chemo, which was FOLFIRI, because colon cancer has two chemotherapies, FOLFIRI and FOLFOX protocol. In the FOLFIRI, you lose your hair.
Mm-hmm.
And so I lost about 70% of my hair for the first 6 rounds. And then after my surgery, they put me
Mm-hmm.
on Fox, and that's been giving me neuropathy, which I'm sure you've heard. Have you heard of
Neuropathy,
neuropathy?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of people haven't. Every time I say neuropathy here, people are like, "What?"
I only know it because of my researches that I am doing.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of researches. Is that sometimes I can't retain it in my head because for some strange reason, I don't know. I can't remember stuff that much. But yeah, I've heard about it and it's on my
It's
my
so
research.
annoying, the neuropathy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so it just makes everything feel like electricity when you touch it.
Mm-hmm.
And the first time I got neuropathy, I'm like, sometimes I'm quite a smart person, but then I'll like
Mm-hmm.
go out and be like, oh, I'm okay. And then I started to get neuropathy and I couldn't even get back into my apartment. Like, I couldn't
Mm-hmm.
turn the key in the door because my
Yeah.
hand stopped working.
Yeah, that's a lot of side effects for a lot of people based on my research. A few people that I've interviewed as well, they lost the taste. Some people had mouth sores. Um, one lady, she said she was eating chips earlier and she saw a piece of toenail on the floor and she thought it was a piece of chips that
Ah,
she was eating, so these are some of the side effects of the chemo.
yeah.
So yeah. Um, so how many cycles of chemo you're currently
So
on?
the current round, they want me to do 12, and I've done four, I think. Four, yeah. Three, four, four.
Okay.
Because it's the guidelines when you have stage 4 cancer, after the operation removes all the cancer, you
Mm-hmm.
then go on to a different chemotherapy for 12
Mm-hmm.
rounds for
Mm-hmm.
preventative. But I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. The only reason I feel like they do that is because they're waiting for the reoccurrence.
Mm. That's the unfortunate part about it as
Yeah.
well. Yeah. Yeah.
But, and they should really describe, this is the biggest problem with cancer. I've done so much research and I really understand the extent of it and I can understand why they don't tell people, but I feel like we're not, our oncologists don't explain documentation enough, which is a big
Mm-hmm.
problem.
I think regardless of what, I think people have the right to know the depths. You know, I literally had to force from my mom oncologist, like, w- just give me the depths, just let me know what's happening. Don't sugarcoat anything, just let me know straightforward what is our position. You know, I think if they approach it like that, people will have a more seriousness towards their situation instead of taking it light. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, Based on my research I was doing a few last year, I came across people that go on chemotherapy. It affect their fertilities. Um, do you wish to have kids, or you have any kids?
I do really want kids, actually.
Mhm. So is
Which,
there any measures that you are taking to prevent that?
yes. I, as soon as they told me I had stage 4 cancer and had to start chemotherapy, I did IVF and they froze my eggs.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I was at the gynecologist. So because we think that there might be a reoccurrence, I went to the gynecologist 2 weeks ago, and he did a check. And you know, the bodies are an amazing thing. Most women lose their like period completely during
Mm-hmm.
cancer. Not me. I've
Mm.
been having it. I even been like I've had no problems. So, and I think a big reason for that is a lot of women, along with chemotherapy, they stop eating and losing weight, and
Ah,
your body
you need the nutrients.
yeah, and that's why you have to. I know this is easy to say, but sometimes you really need to push yourself to keep on eating and stuff because the rest of your body needs
Some people
calories.
take cancer as a death sentence. Once they hear that they have cancer, that's it for them. They just give up.
Well, it's like a choice because it could be, like, for example, myself, it could be the end of my time. But if I get 2 years out of it, at least
Hmm.
I spent it, trying to raise awareness, enjoying my
Hmm.
time. I did, you know, if it comes to the end of it, I want to know that I did everything I could. I understand how I got here. And
Hmm.
that's why I like researching it because look, my case is not so great.
Hmm.
I have the CRAS mutation, which means once the cancer cells start growing, they're kind of like stuck in on and they won't stop.
Mm. Just
But
constantly spreading.
yeah, like it pretty much just grows out of control. But because I've done that research, I understand how important it is to add so much holistic and other things to
Hmm.
target this. That chemotherapy alone is not going to work.
I was just about to ask you if I've explored any other therapy. So,
Uh,
like, what other therapies have you explored?
so I actually have a consultation next Thursday in Zagreb, next Friday, sorry, to speak about alternate options. Personally, what I'm doing now, in terms of supplements, I'm doing high dosage melatonin because they believe melatonin is the only thing that can kill cancer stem cells. And cancer stem cells are the cells that start the cancer, and
Hmm.
chemotherapy can't kill cancer stem cells.
Hmm.
So they believe melatonin, high dosage melatonin, is the only thing that can kill it. What else am I doing? Oh, I'm taking 4 aspirins a day, and the aspirins are celecoxib.
Hmm.
And they believe that taking these 4 aspirins a day will shorten the growth and prolong your life.
Hmm.
So I'm giving that a try. because there's lots of case studies of people taking one aspirin a day to prevent cancer, but I haven't done enough research to.
You mentioned about the stem cell. And I know someone right now is, with colon cancer. She has it for like 5 years. If I'm correct, or 4 to 5 years, if I'm correct, and she's been fighting it. But I'm not certain her depths of treatment, but I know she's taking chemo. Um, but you just mentioned that chemo alone can't kill the stem cells.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give to her? She's in Jamaica. I don't think Jamaica has that kind of treatment. What would be your advice to give to her if she's supposed to be watching this podcast right now, or any other person that's struggling with colon cancer and are only on chemotherapy as a treatment?
Um, well, like the advice I would give is what things can you do that can be done that don't have a cost? For
Mm-hmm.
example, fasting.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, what supplements you can take that will
Mm-hmm.
assist in the process.
Mm-hmm.
For example, like I'm also taking Bio brand, which helps support your immune system. So if your immune system is supported, then it
Mm-hmm.
can fight the cancer. Where if
Mm-hmm.
your immune system is weak, there's nothing to fight the
Mm.
disease. So yeah, my advice would just be like, what because the thing is, there is so much she can do, but it all comes with a cost.
Right.
So you just got to focus on what you can. Like I would suggest, make look at how much fiber is in your diet. I do think that is a
Play a part.
contributor to colon cancer
Mm-hmm.
because, um, like our generation, I feel like this whole like high protein diet is the best for you, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how I've always been because I like
Mm-hmm.
lifting weights, but we're not
Mm-hmm.
having any fiber to push all that stuff along. So
Yeah.
it's sitting in us and creating polyps.
Right.
So I'd say the fiber thing, exercise, fasting, look at what supplements you can afford to add to your regime.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, she has been fighting and she's a real fighter. I admire her so much. And one of my main concern is that she have a kid growing up. You know,
Yeah.
he's a big support system to her and a motivation for her to be fighting. You know what I mean? But you know what you just said just ring a bell, and I'm gonna message her in a bit, you know, and tell her about this therapy that you just mentioned, if I can remember the name. But yeah. Um but you mentioned the cost, but you're also have free healthcare where you are. Do you have to pay for your treatments, or what how do you find the cost of these treatments?
So I didn't have to pay for any of my treatments. All the chemotherapy, surgeries, immunotherapy was covered by the state or by the healthcare free system here.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, when it's all the extra stuff. Like, so there was the IVF, and
Mm-hmm.
that was €3,500.
How much?
€3,500, which
Mm-hmm.
is about £3,200 maybe, or three thousand
Mm-hmm.
pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And then like all these supplements, they cost so much, and like the cost goes on. Like you can get immunotherapy privately, and that costs like €15,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
But who has that money?
That's a lot.
So that's the
That's a
thing. If
lot.
we could do all this alternate stuff, and this is the problem with the system, they will never do this alternate stuff because
Mm,
chemotherapy is what it is.
right.
But maybe if they spent some of the healthcare money
On
helping
some.
us not get this sick, they wouldn't
Yeah.
have to pay for chemotherapy
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I have to wonder about some things that I would not really get into right now, but you know, sometimes you have to wonder about the system, to be honest with you. Um, but um, operation, you mentioned a few operation that you have done. Um, remind us about the operation that you have already done?
So the first operation was to remove the tumor from the colon, the lymph nodes, and they removed 42 centimeters off my colon as
Mm-hmm.
well. But
Mm-hmm.
fun fact, our colon is 8 meters long, so we've got a fair bit of it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they removed 42 centimeters, and
So sorry, your colon now is less than what it was before.
yeah.
So do you carry a stoma bag?
So I had a stoma originally, and
Mm-hmm.
then so I had that until the second operation, which was in August,
Mm-hmm.
where they reversed it. And during that operation, they went into my para-aortic area
Mm-hmm.
and removed the lymph nodes. How many did they remove? Seven, maybe 17? No, 21. 6, 12, 18. No, 18.
Mm.
They removed 18 lymph nodes and three had um, cancer in them. And they reversed the stoma at that time as well.
So you don't have the stoma anymore.
No, thank God.
Yeah, because some people, when I was doing some research last year about colon, um, some people have the stoma for life.
Which I actually don't think is the worst thing. Like,
Mm.
I always said, isn't it amazing that we have a mechanism to have this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, back in the day, they would just have to say, okay, your colon's rotten. That's it. Like, how
Yeah.
lucky are we that we have this? Okay, it's like it was a bit annoying at first, but after a while, I started wearing it out like it was a handbag or something. Like I just can when you're in this situation, and maybe it's not like not for everyone, but it just really makes you not care about that stuff because
Yeah,
you're just
because life is more important, isn't it?
yeah. Like I was at the spa. I sound very fancy. I was at the spa. My friend has a membership, and she had like a free pass, so I went
Yeah.
with her. And I just wear my swimmers with the big scar down my front, and all the
Mm.
scars everywhere. And some person was looking at me funny, but I was like, who cares?
I
This is
think it all boils down to accepting, you know.
Yeah, I
You know,
accept it.
once you accept it, it should be easier to go towards. Some people just can't accept that, you know what, this is my new norm. You know, it's hard for them to transition. But I think that because you're taking it so easy, you have accept that this is what you are right now, and this is how you have to navigate through life. You know, so I think it boils down to acceptance.
Yeah, and like I mean, I see the scar and the stoma as a sign of like how strong I am and
Mm-hmm.
what I've been through. And if somebody looks at that and questions that, that's their problem. I think like the
Mm-hmm.
biggest problem is we all care too much what people are thinking.
Definitely, I agree. I
But like
agree.
it's a scar, it's skin.
Yeah,
It's not something weird.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was really funny last year when I was at the. My dog swims at the dog beach, and
Mm-hmm.
there was like a couple of old men, and I showed them the scar. They were not happy.
What is the hardest thing for you about cancer?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't think anyone's ever asked me anything like that. Oof.
Mm.
Okay, let me think about this. I think the hardest thing is knowing that you actually don't have as much control over the cancer as you want,
Mm-hmm.
and the knowledge that at the end of the day you could do everything, and but that doesn't mean nothing sometimes with the cancer. I think that's a hard thing to accept, but I do think that's why it's really good to research so you can
Mm-hmm.
understand, because like instead of you sitting at home and like throwing your fists in the air saying, oh, I can't believe the cancer's doing
Mm-hmm.
this, it's like, well, why don't you research it so you can
Right.
understand? And it changes. Okay, so I've researched mine and it's shown me how bad it is, but at least I can accept this now.
Mm-hmm.
And so if something does go wrong in the future, I'm already
Mm-hmm.
prepared.
Yeah.
But now because I know so much about it, I know
Mm-hmm.
how like consistent I need to be with everything, or
Mm-hmm.
how diligent I need to be with what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I've interviewed this lady last year called Lynette. I don't know if you have seen her video about soursop. They call her the soursop lady. Um, they put her over to hospice
Yeah.
and tell her to spend her last moment with her family. And while she was on that deathbed, she started doing some research about, how people cure themselves with these illnesses, and she came across the soursop, and she started drinking the soursop tea. leaf tea, and she is out of it. She's in remission, and she hasn't got the cancer, and she's been creating wave over internet. TikTok actually took down her video, but she's on a mission to spread the awareness and what people could use to really help themselves
Yeah.
go through cancer. Because I heard that the soursop leaf tea and this tea as well, called Essiac tea or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it helps shrink the tumor and stuff. How does having cancer affect your mental health?
Yeah, it's a hard one. Like, that's a good question.
Mm.
I think what I've learnt from this is sometimes not to put so much pressure on the mental health and kind of accept the emotions you're having. Because I feel like part of cancer is that we've bottled up some of this stuff inside of us, and
Mm-hmm.
that's the way of our body cleaning out this trauma or the mental problems via
Mm-hmm.
tumor. So, like, if say something bad happens, like for example, one of the girls on TikTok died. I think it was a month ago, and it was devastating to see. She was young, healthy. We all thought she was going to make it, and I was so upset for a week. My mental health was all over the shop and stuff. But I just got to a point where I was like, okay, I've had a bad week. This has been horrible news and stuff, but the week is over. So, like, let's start rebuilding myself up. But
Right.
I don't always tell myself I have to be positive.
Mm-hmm.
I I let my body have those emotions, but just not for too long. Like, deal with it and then get back into the good headspace.
Yeah. Support is very important when you have cancer. What are your support system like?
Well, I had my family in my support system originally,
Mm-hmm.
but unfortunately it got a bit too hard, so that those days are gone.
Yeah.
So I have like lots of friends around me that are supporting me. I have friends in England that support me. I have neighbors that walk my dog for me. I have friends that drive me to the hospital. The support network is great. It was
Mm-hmm.
just a bit disappointing that my family couldn't be the same as these people,
Yeah.
but
I know that I've heard a lot of people say that when the cancer journey get hard, some people, the family member just left just in the time when they need them the most. But I'm happy that you are getting some support from your friends, and support is really important when you're going through cancer. And what would be your advice for people who have family members or a friend that's going through support cancer? What would be your advice to them as it relates to support?
I would say when it comes to support, don't just say, hey, call me up if you need something, or, oh, if you need anything, let me know. Actually offer support. Call your
Mm-hmm.
friend up and say, do you need a lift to the hospital? Because as a cancer patient, we already feel like such a burden. Like all of a
Right.
sudden, our world's been turned around. We can't look after, our life isn't the same as how we had it.
Mm-hmm.
So when somebody says, call me if you need anything, we're never going to call you.
Mm.
But if you say, do you want me to drive you? If you say, I'm driving you to chemo today,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they want to hear, because that's just a simple yes or no. But if we are
Right.
like, the stress of saying to someone, hey, can you do this for me, is just
Mm-hmm.
not what you want to be doing now. So
Yeah.
just offer direct help.
Yeah. So don't say it, just offer it.
Yeah, do not say it, just offer it. If don't say, do you want me to cook something for you? Just take food to that person's house. Show up
Right.
for them. This is the one time, like, honestly, we feel like such a burden. We do not
Mm-hmm.
want to be asking people for anything. Even I, 14 months later, it's so hard for me to ask for help.
Right.
So
I
when it's offered, it's
understand.
great.
I understand. Um, Monique, we have come to the end of this podcast. I really do appreciate you sharing your story to the mask, and I hope this video reach as many people as it could. And people, if people want to connect with you, people want to get advice from you, how could they find you?
So I have a TikTok account. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. Is it Mon92 Ack? 1 second. So I have a TikTok account and it's
Uh-huh.
Mon so Monack 92.
Mm-hmm.
I post on there. If anybody is having a hard time and wants to speak to someone that's going through the same thing, I've always learned that it's the easiest to get help. Sometimes speaking to a stranger with cancer is easier than speaking to somebody that's sitting next to you.
Definitely. Definitely, I agree. Um, okay. Um, we have this opening and closing tradition, and we pass through the opening tradition, and where we ask the guests to pray, and we open with a prayer. But on the ending of this podcast, we normally ask the guests to leave an encouraging word for the next guest coming in, not know who that guest would be. Because when you're going through difficult times like this, you need some form of encouraging
Of
words.
course.
And the guest that leave an encouraging word for you is a herbalist based in the US, and she go by the name of Violet. And she said, weeping may endure for a moment, but joy comes in the morning. So keep your chin up and keep fighting, Mon. Keep spreading the good works, and continue to share your journey. This is things that people need on a daily basis.
Exactly.
So look after yourself, and I thank you again to share your story with us. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you guys for joining the Ivy Cancer podcast. As you know the drill, please, if you like this video, give us a comment in the comment section and let us know, how do you find Monique's story? Leave a like and share this video to encourage someone. Until next time, stay safe, stay blessed, and eat healthy.